Welcome to the Deep Dive. You've sent us some really intriguing sources, and we've jumped right in.
We have indeed.
Today we're heading down to St. Francisville, Louisiana. We're talking about the Myrtles Plantation.
Ah, yes, the Myrtles. Over 2 centuries of history there, and just steeped in these ghost stories. It's quite the place.
Definitely. So the sources you sent us, we looked at articles from U.S. Ghost Adventures, All That's Interesting, and True Ghost Tales.
Right. And our mission essentially is to kind of unpack all that, dig into the history, the legends, trying to see what's what, you know?
Exactly. Figure out what makes this spot so compelling for, everyone from history buffs to ghost hunters.
And for you listening, we want to get you the heart of it quick and clear without you feeling totally bogged down by, endless details.
Your shortcut to getting up to speed. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. The Myrtles. It wasn't always called the Myrtles, right?
No, it started in 1796, founded by General David Bradford.
But better known as Whiskey Dave, which is quite a nickname.
It really is. And it hints at his backstory. He wasn't originally from Louisiana. He actually had to flee Pennsylvania.
Because of the Whiskey Rebellion, 1791 to 94, something like that.
That's the one. Yeah, protesting a federal tax on booze, basically. So he wasn't just some guy buying land. There was drama from the get-go.
Sets a certain tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So he heads south, buys 650 acres in what was then Spanish West Florida.
Right, which is now Louisiana.
And built his house. Called it Laurel Grove initially.
Yeah, just a modest place to start, about 8 rooms. He did get a presidential pardon later for the whole rebellion thing.
But he stayed.
He did. Chose to stay put at Laurel Grove. Died there in 1808. So yeah, the very roots of this famous southern plantation are tied up in, this pretty major piece of American history.
It really shows how local stories connect to bigger events.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bradford dies.
And the place passes to his daughter, Sarah Matilda Bradford, and her husband, Clark Woodruff.
And this is where things start to get, tragic.
Yeah, their time there was really marked by loss. They had 3 kids, but only one actually lived to become an adult.
That casts a pall over things pretty early on, doesn't it? You can kind of feel that sense of sorrow building already.
Absolutely. And it's during this period, with the Woodruffs living there, that we get perhaps the most famous legend of the Myrtles.
Okay, let's get into it. Chloe,
yes, the ghost story everyone knows.
So the popular version, she was enslaved there, had an affair with Judge Woodruff, and when he started losing interest, she got scared, worried she'd be sent out to the fields, which was, much harder work.
Right. So the story goes, she tried to sort of win back his favor, or at least secure her position.
By making his kids sick.
Yeah.
So she could nurse them back to health.
Exactly. She supposedly baked a cake. Yeah. But used oleander leaves in it. Poisonous.
And it went horribly wrong.
Terribly wrong. The legend says the poison was stronger than she meant it to be. It killed 2 of Woodruff's children.
Just devastating. And the story doesn't end there, does it?
No. It gets darker. The tale claims the other enslaved people, fearing they'd all be punished,
took matters into their own hands.
Yeah. They supposedly hanged Chloe, threw her body in the river.
Wow. There are variations too, right? Some paint her more as a victim, like maybe she was forced into the affair.
Or the story about her ear. Punished for eavesdropping, had an ear cut off, and had to wear that green turban to hide it.
That green turban is such a powerful image. It comes up again and again in the sightings.
It really does. It makes the ghost instantly recognizable visually. Probably why that part of the story stuck so hard.
People still claim to see her. And that photo, the 1992 one?
Oh, yeah, the Tita Moss photo. That's a big one. It was looked at by different groups. National Geographic was mentioned. Some apparently deemed it authentic.
So for believers, that's like concrete proof.
It's definitely compelling for many. And Tita Moss, one of the current owners, has even sort of suggested Chloe might be, maybe not malevolent, even credited her with maybe protecting the house during a fire in 2014.
That's an interesting twist. Trying to reconcile the dark legend with, living there.
And this is a really big but. Oh. And when you look at the actual historical records, there's no mention of the Woodruffs owning anyone named Chloe.
None at all?
Nope. And maybe even more importantly, the records indicate Sarah Woodruff and her 2 children died of yellow fever in 1823 and 1824.
Yellow fever. Not poisoning.
Exactly. Which, yellow fever was rampant and deadly back then. A very real, documented threat.
So the Chloe story, as compelling as it is, it doesn't line up with the documented history of how the family died.
It really doesn't. It seems the facts point towards disease, which was tragically common. The legend is powerful, but it seems well, separate from the recorded facts in this case. Makes you wonder how these stories get started and why they stick, you know?
Yeah, maybe it's easier to process tragedy with a specific narrative, even a fictional one. Okay, so after the Woodruffs, the property changes hands again.
Right. 1834, Ruffin Sterling buys it.
And he's the one who names it Myrtles Plantation.
Yep, after the crepe myrtle trees on the grounds. Gives it the name we all know now.
And the Sterlings did a lot of work on the house, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. He and his wife, Mary Cobb, they expanded it significantly, turned it into the big 22-room mansion it is today, furnished it lavishly, stuff from Europe, really upped the grandeur.
Right. And the Sterlings connect to the next major figure, William Winter.
Through marriage, yeah. William Winter married the Sterlings' daughter, Sarah, in 1852.
And sadly, tragedy follows them too. Their daughter, Kate,
died young. Yellow fever again in 1861. Another reminder of just how precarious life could be.
And this death has its own folklore attached. Something about voodoo.
Yeah, there's a local story, totally unverified by records, mind you, about William Winter trying to save Kate. He supposedly went to a voodoo practitioner named Cleo.
Okay.
She allegedly did some kind of ceremony, but Kate died the next day anyway, and the story claims Cleo was blamed and, well, hanged for it.
Hanged. Good grief. But no proof Cleo even existed.
None whatsoever. No historical records mention her or this event. It seems like another one of those powerful but likely unfounded local legends that grew up around a real tragedy.
It's amazing how these stories weave themselves into the place's fabric. Then, 10 years after Kate's death, William Winter himself
meets a violent end. January 1871, shot. Right there on the front porch.
By a person or persons unknown. Still unsolved today.
Exactly. Another layer of mystery.
And even the way he died is part of the legend, with conflicting accounts.
Right. The popular story, the one you often hear on tours, is that he staggered back inside, managed to climb almost all the way up the stairs, and died on the 17th step in his wife Sarah's arms. Very dramatic.
That's not what the contemporary report said.
No, newspaper accounts from the time actually reported he died pretty much instantly, right there in the doorway where he was shot.
Huh. It shows how stories get embellished over time. Or drama, maybe.
Probably. The staircase death is certainly more memorable, more ghostly, you could say.
So Winter's murdered, his wife Sarah dies not too long after, and the Sterlings eventually lose the plantation.
Yeah, the family was hit hard financially, especially after the Civil War. They ended up having to sell the property. So it's just this ongoing cycle, isn't it? Ownership changes, but the sense of tragedy lingers.
It is this whole backdrop, the real history, the losses, mixed with these intense legends that really sets the stage for the haunting claims.
Absolutely. While there are maybe whispers before, the ghost stories really seem to take off, or at least become widely known, around the mid-20th century. Marjorie Munson seeing that figure in a green turban in the 1950s is often cited as an early one.
But it really exploded when it became a B&B, right, in the 70s?
Yeah, when the Myers family took over and opened it up to overnight guests, that really seemed to amplify everything. Suddenly you have way more people staying there, experiencing, well, something.
And reporting it. Lots of reports of that girl in the turban, tying back to Chloe, especially after the 92 photo.
Exactly. And having guests stay overnight in these rooms with this history, it probably heightens awareness. Maybe ordinary sounds get interpreted differently.
Maybe. But it's not just Chloe people report seeing, is it?
Oh, no. It's quite a cast of alleged characters. Young girls in windows, sometimes said to be the Woodruff children.
And the mirror. People see the Woodruff kids in that big mirror in the foyer.
That's the legend. Yeah, that mirror is a whole story in itself. Supposedly traps spirits, specifically Sarah Woodruff and her children.
And people see things in it. Handprints.
Uh-huh. Handprints appearing on the inside of the glass that supposedly can't be wiped off. Ghostly faces looking out. There was even a weird report in 2010. Someone claimed the wallpaper reflected in the mirror looked different than the actual wallpaper on the wall.
That's specific. And really strange.
It is. Those kinds of details, the physical anomalies like handprints, they really stick with people.
And there are other figures, too, besides the Woodruffs and Chloe.
Yeah, reports mention a Native American woman sometimes seen near a gazebo, which ties into that common trope about building on burial grounds, though the evidence for that specifically at Myrtles is debated.
Right.
And of course, William Winter. People claim to see him maybe reliving his murder on the porch or on those stairs.
It's like layers upon layers of stories and potential spirits.
Exactly. And the modern day accounts from guests and staff are just constant. It's a long list.
Like what?
Well, you hear about sudden cold spots, hearing footsteps when no one's there, objects moving, sometimes chairs found stacked up mysteriously.
Stacked chairs.
Yeah. Figures seen out of the corner of your eye that just vanish. Faces in windows, faces in that mirror again. Cries or whispers seemingly on the wind. The feeling of being watched or followed. Doors slamming shut on their own. The smell of old perfume suddenly appearing. Even people reporting feeling a gentle push from unseen hands. It covers pretty much the whole gamut of classic haunting phenomena.
And it's drawn to the professionals too, hasn't it? The ghost hunting shows.
Oh, definitely. Ghost Adventures was there in 2014. Zach Bagans and his crew. They claimed experiences, noises, EVPs. They had a ball that apparently moved on its own.
And Ghost Hunters, the TAPS team.
Them too. They did an investigation, and their conclusion was, yeah, the place is haunted.
So whether you buy into their methods or not, these investigations definitely boost the plantation's spooky reputation.
Absolutely. Plus appearances on shows like Unsolved Mysteries, Most Terrifying Places in America, Files of the Unexplained. It all cements the Myrtles in the public mind as, like, the haunted plantation.
And didn't one of the owners, Frances Carmine Myers, write a book about her experiences?
She did. The Myrtles Plantation, the true story of America's most haunted house, full of her own accounts of, really scary stuff she says happened to her there. Shaking beds, apparitions, adds that personal testimony element.
So amidst all the ghost stories, the place itself has continued to evolve. It was recognized for its history pretty early on.
Yeah, back in the 1940s, it got included in the pilgrimage tour, acknowledging its historical significance. Restoration work started up in the 1950s.
And it's been running as a B&B since the 80s.
Right, and currently owned by John and Tita Moss, the same Tita Moss who took that famous photo. They run tours, have, I think, 21 guest rooms now.
So they're really leaning into both sides of it, the history and the haunting.
Seems like it. A way to preserve the place while acknowledging and maybe even capitalizing on its unique reputation.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, it's clear the Myrtles Plantation is just this incredibly complex place.
Totally. You've got verifiable history, undeniable tragedy, deeply rooted legends like Chloe, and then decades of reported paranormal experiences all woven together.
And trying to definitively pull apart the fact from the folklore, it's tough. Maybe impossible.
Maybe beside the point even, because whatever the source of the stories, that connection to the past, a past filled with hardship and sorrow, feels really present there. You can't deny the weight of it all.
So that leaves us with something to think about for you listening.
Yeah. When you look at this mix, the documented history, these persistent, very personal accounts of strange happenings, what does our fascination with a place like the Myrtles actually say about us?
About how we relate to the past, to tragedy, to things we just can't easily explain.
Is it just about really good, spooky storytelling, or is there maybe something more to all these claims, these shared experiences over so many years?
Something to ponder, definitely. What's your take on places like this and the power of belief, collective or otherwise?